Today's guest, Jayna Swan, shares her inspiring journey of resilience and self-discovery. At 19, Jayna faced significant medical challenges, undergoing 7 surgeries over the next decade. Despite these obstacles, she demonstrated remarkable entrepreneurial spirit by establishing a successful business. Throughout her experiences, Jayna remained attuned to universal signs guiding her back to her true calling in coaching. This podcast explores themes of self-worth, embracing our inherent value, and trusting in life's journey. Jayna's story encouraged listeners to pursue their dreams with unwavering belief and determination, taking one step at a time. Join us for this intimate and vulnerable conversation as we delve into her transformative experiences and the wisdom she's gained along the way. Welcome back to Mystical Sisterhood. This is your host, Maureen Spielman, and I'm so excited today to be with Jayna Swan. I was introduced to Jayna by Simona, my podcast editor, which we have to get onto this podcast at some point because she has such a beautiful voice and she's doing great work and here to support anyone who is looking into starting podcasting. I'll say just a few notes about Jayna and then we'll jump into her story and what she's here to deliver today. Well, I'll first say she is a speaker, she's a creator, she's a facilitator dedicated to educating, elevating, and empowering women in business. Her mission is to help them save time and regulate their emotions so they can spend more quality time with their loved ones. And I think that that's an easy way to condense what you do, Jayna, and then it just grows from there. So welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for the great, concise way, because I know we'll get into a lot of storytelling today. So.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to meet last week and kind of feel out each other's energy. Well, I'll first say that themes we'll kind of talk about today are tapping into our worthiness, discovering our worthiness, rediscovering it, remembering it as individuals, the things that got covered up along the way, how your life led you back to yourself, and how we can pay attention maybe to what our life is bringing us, the invitations that we're getting, even when they don't come in the prettiest packages, to our truth. And I just think that there's going to be some beautiful themes. But because your life is big, where would you want to start today?
I think the most logical place to start is back in 2012 when my cysts started happening. I
Mm-hmm.
was only 19, and at the time I was working 3 different jobs. I was serving in restaurants, one on the weeknights, one on weekends, and I was also working in an attorney's office in immigration law, and really enjoyed all the things I was doing, but there was a lot going on as a 19-year-old. And Labor Day weekend came up, and boom, out of nowhere, I woke up and had an excruciating pain between my legs. And I was like, okay, this is more than just like a little urgent care center thing. Like, I tried to call out of work. My manager would not let it happen because that's the busiest weekend of the entire year. So, long story short, went to the ER, and the next morning I was immediately into a removal surgery. They're like, this is bad. It was basically a series of, they tried to drain it, it didn't drain. The next day they were like, you got to go into surgery to remove the gland. I'm like, oh,
Okay. Oh,
okay.
wow.
Like,
Had
all
you,
happened so fast.
and when you look back at it now, did you have any signs leading up to it that you had not really been in touch with?
No, only saw the signs like over a decade later. Because like
Okay.
in it, you like can't see it. So here I
Hmm.
am dealing with surgery after surgery after surgery. Long story short, it was 10 years and 7 surgeries, and it just kept happening. And
Hmm.
I really was like, what is happening here? I finally just accepted it and surrendered. I was like, okay, I guess this is my life.
Yeah.
And I went to get certified in Neuro Linguistic Programming so I could essentially help my clients let go of their limiting beliefs and their baggage so they could live better lives. In the
Okay.
process, I got to experience releasing my own baggage and limiting
Right.
beliefs. And since then, I have not had any problems. Your question about if there were any red flags, I think backwards. And only a few months before my first cyst, I got a tattoo. And on my ribs, it said, I am so unworthy and still you love me. I literally had the
Mm.
word unworthy tattooed on my body months before these cysts started happening. And then things started going wrong, and I couldn't figure out what was causing it, only to be over a decade later sitting in a neurolinguistic programming class. And someone goes, wait, don't you think that tattooed on your body is energetically like shifting things? I was like, oh my
Wow.
gosh, like
Yes.
literal
Yeah.
brain explosion. And so I since have updated that tattoo. We took red like a pen, like a grammar pen,
Yeah.
correcting it in like a writing class. And now with a couple things scratched out and a couple extra things written in, it now says, I am worthy and I love me. And so
Wow.
that
Yeah.
was a huge shift for me. And it was a very like, I didn't notice it until just the last year or so. And I was like, wait, these timelines, these are interesting. So everything matters. Words matter in whether they're on your body or coming out of your mouth, like it matters.
That's fascinating. And I'm sure I'm not alone. And that when you just shared that, I just got chills all over my body. It's just, wow. And so I'll just ask you, what took you 10 years to notice? Do you feel like you're noticing after all this work that you've done for yourself and with others now allows you to condense the time of noticing when something happens in your life? And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting it. I'm getting the message.
Yes, because the awareness is so much more now, and I'm actually actively looking for it. So
Yes.
when my baggage shows up and when I get triggered, I celebrate. I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, I got more to work on. Like, yes. Most people get triggered and they get stuck in the trigger and they're stuck
Yeah.
in the whatever it brought up, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, whatever it is. They get stuck in the emotion. I've done so much work and understand emotions and our body and our brain chemistry so much that I know the emotion's not where the focus needs to go. It's what caused the trigger, because that's if I do the work on the thing that caused me to get irritated in the first place,
Mhm.
then I can avoid it ever happening again. And so it's
Mhm.
like I had a bunch of surgeries. So after you get a cut, it takes time for the wound to heal. And if you
Mm.
start poking the wound right after you got cut open, it's going to hurt really, really bad. If you are poking the wound a couple months after it's been done, it might still have a little tenderness, right? But if you're
Mhm.
poking it a couple years after, hopefully it's not still having any pain.
Yeah.
But there are some wounds that have phantom pain. And
Mm.
I truly believe that's connected to the person's inability to let go of the story behind the
Okay.
pain. And so
Okay.
there's so many rabbit holes we could go down. So I'm gonna let you take back control because I will just run down
Okay.
rabbit holes.
Okay. And then you're welcome to go down rabbit holes. I want to look at this idea that you had a diagnosis and the younger version of you handled it how? Was it just something that was sort of happening to you that was just this medical thing that, different people go through different medical things and it was really something from the outside in? Was that version of you? Is that how you saw it or how did you see it?
Yeah, at the time it was the woe is me. Like, why is
Mhm.
this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? It was that story. Like, those were the questions I was asking myself at the time.
Mhm.
And poor questions get poor answers. So I just started asking better quality questions. And that's where my mindset made that shift. And journaling also was a part of like saving my life because when you actually can put it on paper and then go back to it a couple days later and reread it, you're like, wait, what? It's not that you changed, it's just you're in a different state at that time. So I think journaling is huge for actually capturing us in that moment. And then you
Mhm.
can either reflect back on it in the future or whatever. Like I have journals upon journals upon journals from when I was in bed rest. And I will
Mhm.
often go back and read those journals. And there are pages where I describe the woman I wanted to become. And I was
Mhm.
like, she's this and she's this and she's this. And I can proudly say I'm everything on that list. And
Yeah.
that is because I was so intentional and I was in so much pain and not just
Mm.
physical pain, but like mental pain, emotional pain, like just really having such, they say that when you have such a strong desire for something else, it's because it's already written in on your timeline and it's
Mhm.
already meant for you, which is why you have such a strong connection. And I feel like that's what it was, is that
Yeah.
I was feeling this pull to where I am today. And I was feeling so far away from it. It was just the
Mhm.
beginning. I did not realize how far at the beginning of the journey I was at 19, and I had
Mhm.
already done a lot of work. So, yes, it was very much a time in my life where I think what the critical point was, I learned cause and effect. Because in life, we're just everything's happening so fast. Like I was going from high school to college and then college to these classes, and world happens, right?
Mhm.
I was given the awesome opportunity of a pause where life stopped. I'm laying in bed, literally had to lay in bed and like not do anything. And I'm like, oh, Johnny goes out and drinks and gains weight and gets this and this and this. And oh, and Sarah stays home and studies and oh, cause and effect. I started to really see the dots. And I was like, okay, well, if I want to live this life I feel such a pull to, serving tables and working for someone else is never going to get me there. Right. I'm
Mhm.
only building someone else's dream. And at that point is when it flipped to my mind. I have to build my own thing. And so I'm like, what can I do? Where can I start? How do I get in rooms with powerful, wealthy, important people when I had nothing to offer at 19?
Mhm.
And what did I do? I picked up it, honestly, my last $12 in my bank account. I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought a bucket and a spray bottle, some rags, and some Dawn dish soap. And I started scrubbing floors. I walked door to door to door to door and I started pitching business owners and people for residential and commercial. I started cleaning medical offices, like you name it. And like that's
Mhm.
really where my story gets really good because a lot of people have medical problems. A lot of
Yeah.
people run into the pit in life, but like how do you get out of it? I literally scrubbed floors to get out of it. And that's how I started building my network. That's how I started learning about what are they reading? Who are they listening to? I got their mindsets. I like would what book are you reading? And I'd get the book and I'd listen to it. Next week I'd come back and be like, okay, I'm scrubbing the floor on chapter 3 when they said, and we'd talk about the books. And it's funny to go from 10 years ago doing that to now 10 years ago. Now they go, hey, Jayna, what books are you reading?
Right,
It's
right.
like,
That's
oh,
so I love that part of your story though. That's so cool. So like for you, putting together the cleaning business was a way to work for yourself. Like that was one of the primary
yep.
intentions.
I
Yeah.
went
And
from like feeling like I was a victim to my circumstances to feeling like I had some sort of control,
okay.
right? It was some level of
Mhm.
control while the bank account's
Mhm.
still barren and I still had nothing really going for me because business takes time to build.
Yes.
It was the thing that gave me that I can do this. Like it's
Mhm.
the ball's back in my court. Now it's up to me.
Okay.
And that's where the knocking doorstep to doorstep. And I have so many rabbit holes. I don't want to go, like, I don't know what stories you want. Like, I met my partner through my cleaning business. I've met
Yeah.
multi-billionaires through my cleaning business. It led me to where I am today.
Well, first of all, I have no agenda for today because I do think it's the stories
Yeah.
that we talked. You said that right when we got on. It's the part of the story that you share with somebody or that they hear like, oh, I see myself in that, or oh, I could do that. I could create something like that. I'm hearing you say that when you started to take back sort of like the power to yourself, the energy began to change. And
Mm-hmm.
then, so I guess the question that you're leading me to is it's sounding to me like many gifts started to come to you through your business. So
Yeah.
if you want to say things about the gifts, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. And so
Uh-huh.
one of the greatest gifts that I got from my cleaning business was my partner. We're celebrating 10 years together in April. So just a few months away from having a full decade with this man.
Wow.
And it's great. I was already in my cleaning business for about 2.5 years, and I had been cleaning one of the offices in a building. I thought, what if I just go and like hit up every other office in this building? Maybe I can travel once, but get two cleaning things, double my
Yeah.
money, right?
Yeah.
So I went door to door to door that day and handed out my card. Hi, my name's Jane. I have a cleaning business. Hi, my name's Jane. And I just did the thing, right?
Hmm.
Well, the first door that I walked into, the young lady at the front, I said my little spiel and she's like, 1 second. So she walks back into this next office and another young woman walks out, looks me up and down. Hi, I'm Jayna. 1 second. She walks down this really long hall. She goes into the last door and about a minute later comes out with a little smirk on her face. And I was like, okay. And so she starts coming down the hall. Well, a man starts strolling down the hall like he owns the place because he does. And so kicks himself up on the wall with his coffee mug and goes, so I hear you have a cleaning business. I'm like, yes, sir, I do. Da 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 da. Well, his cleaning lady had just gotten sick, and I
Hmm.
didn't know what that meant. At the time, I thought, she's a cold. No, she has lupus. So
Hmm.
she was like sick, sick. And he's like, it might be a temporary position, but if you'd like, you can have it. And I was like, cool. Literally 5 minutes later, he walks out the door to get a haircut, and his hairstylist of 20 years handed him her best friend's phone number. He said, if I did not walk in exactly when I did, I
Chills.
would never have gotten the job. Now, mind you, I had walked out of cleaning the other unit. I out on my way to the car, sat in the car, put everything there like every other day. And there was just something like tapping me on the shoulder, like, hey, grab your cards and go now. Grab your
Yeah.
cards and go now. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
I don't want to. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm like, so many people give in to that voice.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm hungry. I don't want to. It's just like, it was 5 minutes out of my day that has turned into over a decade of amazing experiences with a man. Now, it wasn't just me walking in, hi, how you doing? I had to clean. I had to do the
Yeah.
things. We had to start conversation. It
Hmm.
grew over time. It took about 4 or 5 months to grow into becoming a relationship. And all that to say, I love when people come to me because he is 27 years older than me. And they're like, Jayna, what website did you meet him on? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I did not meet him on any of these like sugar daddy sites or something. Like, it's just not how it happened. Honestly, I offered to scrub this man's toilets and we
Hmm.
talked about how to invest and where we invest our money. We talked about real estate investments and stocks and bonds. And like we were having deep level discussions at this time. And so I truly think that we meet the people we're looking for when we're not looking. Because I had
Yeah.
stopped dating. I had like, I
Huh.
just need to work on my business. And then he like dropped into the, so I can't tell you how many times, not just with relationships, but with business and family and life in general, when we want the thing, we will not get the thing. When you
Yeah.
stop wanting the thing and you finally just say whatever, like you
Mhm.
almost like get on the side of the fence, like I don't
Yeah.
want this thing, and then you end up attracting exactly that.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
it's that I didn't know what I needed or what I wanted, and so I started focusing on myself, and I had just attracted the world to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was a huge blessing, was having that partner who supports me endlessly and is a huge reason why I get to do all of the things that I get to do today.
Yeah, thanks for sharing it. I take that to mean sort of when we stop the pushing, we stop the needing of
Mhm.
something, the relentless pursuit. And I think it goes hand in hand with doing our inner work too, right? But we put ourselves in that receiving mode. And it's almost like the universe says, okay, she's ready. And I just love to think of it because I always love to think about how the universe is conspiring on our behalf. And my guest, Valerie Wood, told me one time, she's a medium channel, and she said, Maureen, your guides are working, they're working overtime to get these two people to meet or to get you in that specific place to see the certain thing. So I can see like top down of the office building that day. We're going to have her leave her car before he leaves for that haircut. This is perfect. It's so
Yes.
cool though. I mean, that's where the magic comes in. And
Yes.
that's what delights my heart is that this magic exists out there. I love
It's
it.
the surrender, right? And there
Yes.
was a lot of action and intention. I will say I didn't just
Yeah,
stumble into his world. Like
exactly.
I had been for 3 months leading up to meeting him. I had been doing a specific visualization each morning where I had 3 songs. And I think it was I Lived by One Republic. I love the words in that song. Then Geronimo, which basically just kept telling me to take the leap. And then Shut Up and Dance. And it's just like, just
Mm.
shut up and live your life. And so I would play these 3 songs and put it on my chest. And I just close my eyes and visualize my future. And
Yep.
at this time, I was just in a little bedroom renting it from a 44-year-old man with 4 chihuahuas. Like I was not in the greatest place. And
Hmm.
every morning I would listen to this music and I would see in my mind, for me, it's like kind of like static TV. I'm not too clairvoyant when it comes to seeing things yet, but
Yeah.
I saw pillars, a man, and an SUV every
Hmm.
morning. I didn't know
Hmm.
what it meant. I just kept
Hmm.
seeing these images. I'm like, all right. I'd stop, like, listen to those 3 songs. I'd stand up and I'd look in my mirror with all these little sticky notes around the mirror. And each one said, I am so grateful to have a partner who, and then filled in the blanks
Hmm.
with the trait that he had, loves his family, works really hard, provides for me, whatever it was. And so I'd do this visualization. I'd stand up and I'd say these with conviction in the mirror and look at myself. For 3 months, I did that, not knowing where it was going or what it was doing. I tell you, the day he helped move me out of that place and into the home that we live in now, he's carrying the mirror and he's reading. He's like, "You do know I am all of this, right?" And I was like, "I manifested you." And he was like, "What?"
Oh, that's
He
cool.
knows about my woo woo now, but I think my woo was a little too woo for him at the
Yeah.
time. So I eased him into the
Yeah.
world of me.
Yeah. That's awesome. As you were becoming you, right?
Of course.
And so where did that lead you? How long did you run the business and what were some revelations that started to come about?
Yeah, I continued to run that business till 2021 is when we finally closed those doors.
Wow.
Well, the last 4.5 years before closing the doors, we had an Airbnb in Florida in New Smyrna Beach. It was right on the water. It was well built, luxury. I loved it. My whole mission was to help people make memories that would last a lifetime.
Hmm.
We had baby moons, we had, people post wedding, we had funerals, we had just celebrations galore,
Cool.
people who were celebrating launching a book and like all sorts of things. I got to really help and I loved it. And I wanted to take my coaching to the next level. And
Hmm.
to do that, I needed to do some certification courses and some training courses that were 2 or 3 weeks long. And I was used to 2 to 3 times a week driving out myself and cleaning these units. So I had to get rid of it. So we sold it 2021 so I could do this. And I have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people since then. And so it's like it was the greatest thing. It was
Yeah.
very tough transition, right? I'd been
Hmm.
building something for so long. And it's funny because we had the house on the market or condo on the market, and you always really want the next person to love it as much as you. When you've put
Yeah.
all of that time and all of those things into it, and you've like hand polished countertops and like done everything to this place. The condo was about 45 minutes from where I live, and the person who ended up buying it lives 4 minutes from me, literally in the next
Oh,
door
wow.
neighborhood. And their family was so great because they're like, oh, we just wanted somewhere that our kids could grow up and have every summer. And then we might rent it here and there. And like they love it like it's their own. So
Mm,
again, trust the universe because it's going to give you exactly what you need. Because I thought I'd be cleaning forever.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
also knew I had bigger things and that it took trust to let go of the cleaning, which was consistent money coming in. I
Hmm.
knew I could sell it. I knew I could do it. It was super easy to fulfill. And then I went into a world of coaching where I can't guarantee results in coaching. It's like
Hmm.
I can do everything on my end, but if you don't take the action,
Yeah.
then, and so it became difficult. I was like, wait, I have to sell on a promise, not an actual like thing that I'm
Yeah.
not selling an actual service that I go and fulfill. It was very interesting to me,
Yeah.
transition. But
Yeah.
I think the pivots have been the biggest thing in the world for me, right? Because there is power in our pivot. Because I go all the way back, I thought I would be a backup dancer on stages, like a little pop star. That was going to be me, right? I grew up a dancer, a 6-time national championship dancer. So I was like, the stage, I'm going to be on the stage. Do you hear how unclear I was about that goal?
Yeah.
I'm going to be on
Yes.
the stage.
Yes.
Hmm.
Right.
Well, I'm on stages, but your
That
girl's not a pop dancer. So
that's so
gotta
cool,
have,
right? It was a different stage than you could have ever
because
imagined.
we're speaking on stages now, but yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned, can you say about your work with NLP? I have
Oh,
not interviewed anyone who is talking about that for what it is. So tell us about that.
yeah. I love, love, love NLP. And again, neuro as in the brain, linguistics as in the language that we use, the words we speak, and then programming is just the patterns that we have in our brain, right? So
Hmm.
basically what neuro linguistic programming is what we think and what we speak create the world around you. Because most people think reality happens to you. It does not. You create the reality in your own mind.
Hmm.
And I guess to summarize what NLP does is it teaches you how to model success. So it helps you with the process of breaking down the values, the beliefs, and the identity of people who are already succeeding in the way you'd like. And then you
Hmm.
just model their identity, their beliefs, and their values right back at them. And you can get the same results because
Okay.
our unconscious mind is 80% of the workhorse, right? It's
Hmm.
actually closer to 95% of what our brain is doing. But I'll just go with the 80-20 principle. It's a little easier to grasp, right?
Hmm.
We're trying to make the 20% do the thing. And so it's
Yeah.
like that 20% of your brain, you're like, okay, I'm going to eat right. It's Monday. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do it. And then you self sabotage and you're like, what? Why can't I do this? I want it so badly, Jayna. Why can't I make the change stick? It's because you're working from the 20%. So I help
Mm-hmm.
people work from the 80%. NLP is it teaches you how this to speak with the subconscious mind. And to sum it all up, the subconscious mind likes pictures and it only speaks in images, which is why your
Okay.
dreams are your unconscious speaking to you, which is why the visions you get, the meditations are so important.
Hmm.
All of this is your subconscious mind directly speaking to you. And
Okay.
so it's the ability to like wade through all of the surface level stuff and get to the root of the problem really fast.
Hmm.
I mean, to kind of summarize it, as I began to lead into more NLP coaching, I was under old impressions of doing like a discovery call to get clients. And I'd have like a 30-minute discovery call with someone. Well, I would unfortunately coach on those. And I know not to do that now. The solution was I was getting them to the result they needed in 20 minutes. So they didn't need to buy coaching. And so I'm like, oh, well, if I could get that in 20 minutes, what do you think you could do? And they didn't need it anymore. I took the need away because actually, so it's to me, it was great to see that like you can get results in 20 minutes. It
Hmm.
doesn't
Hmm.
require 10 years of therapy.
That's
And
cool. Yeah.
some of us have trauma where it might take 10 hours to be able
Yeah.
to get to the base of it. And then, and that's another level at which I do coach because I truly prefer if you're going to sit down with someone and like break out all your old traumas, right? It's like unboxing them all in a room.
Yeah.
An hour is not enough time to then make a
No.
solution and a path forward. So that's
Hmm.
why I do a breakthrough sessions. It's literally a 12-hour day with me where you get through all of your baggage and then we filter and we throw away what you don't need. We replant new seeds, make a plan for your future all in one day. And
Yeah.
I think that's really what a lot of people are looking for and missing out on with some other modalities that they go with. So NLP, if you're looking for quick results, that's what you would want to go to.
And so what have you found? Because you also started an app, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us about
Yeah.
the app and like the way that that works, sort of
Yeah.
kind of blends with your NLP work and what everything else you're bringing.
So here's the story behind it. I went and my life changed in January of 2021 with NLP. I just went to the basic practitioner. It's a 4-day, and I like got my toes wet, and I was like, oh, I love this. So that's when June we sold the condo so that I
Mhm.
could get out of cleaning. And in the end of June, I went to go get certified as a master practitioner of NLP. And at that event, I got to experience a breakthrough session of my own. And in that is when I let go of all of my old baggage and it stopped happening. So that so pivotally changed my life. For the next 2 years, I was like, I'm just going to get really, really good at this. Like I'm gonna help people. I did 30 free breakthrough sessions in those 2 years. So that's
Yeah,
easily over 300 hours of like giving away my time, like of just to
absolutely.
get good at it, right? Just to get so, so freaking good at it. Then I went back and I wanted to get certified as a trainer because I was like, I could see myself on stage, like teaching this stuff. I know it so well. So I did and went to their trainers training. And I was the first student in 41 years to get hired directly out of the training to
Wow.
go and teach for their stages, which I loved. I wanted to give back to the next generation of students. Like it had changed my life, wanted to change others. I got an amazing 6 months where I got to speak for over 16 hours on their stage, help hundreds of students. It was phenomenal. And then I was having some things in my own body that was letting me know this wasn't necessarily my path. This was a part of it and necessary, and it wasn't exactly where I need to keep going. And
Yeah.
so I just had a little bit of a differential in my definition of integrity and the company's definition of integrity. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a step back, let you guys find someone who's a better fit for this role, and I'm going to go trust my gut and do whatever else comes up because I didn't really know. I had already set myself on a 10-year path with this company. I'd committed to
Mhm.
giving them the next 10 years of my life, and I was really all in on it. And it just, you got to listen to the gut. I've learned my intuition knows best. So I stepped away from that January of 2024, and February I started an app. And so I started basically taking the patterns, looking backwards. I've struggled in the past with depression, as many have. And I was like, okay, what's the pattern? What's the thing I was doing when I was good that I
Mhm.
wasn't doing when I was not good? And how can I make that something for everybody? And so I came up with a 5 M's
Okay.
formula where we move our body every day, we
Mhm.
meditate every day, we learn something new through mindfulness every single day, we manifest or speak our future into this world. And then the last one is more. And for me, more is self celebration, finding the small wins in life. That is what it takes, in my opinion. And so I built an app around that with guided
Cool.
meditations and journal prompts and all the fun things. And that got launched last June in the Play Store. Sorry, not Play Store, the App Store. We're still working on the Play Store. That's a toughie right there. And so it's that was a big pivot for me. That was a pivot. It was an unexpected pivot. It wasn't something I thought would be a now thing. I thought it'd be a couple more years before I'd do this.
Definitely.
And you know what? We're here. So
Yes.
just
Well,
follow me.
I'll just stop and say congratulations on that. And even the was it for your process of going in and leaving that role, did that take a lot to leave that role? Did you have to dig deep, figure out how you were going to do it, what the heck, like all the things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had been telling people for years that I was going to be on that stage. It was my story. It was everything
Mhm.
I ever told anyone. I knew everyone in the company, and like
Mm.
to be announced over and over, to be in all the videos, to be in all the photos, to be constantly online. Everybody who knows it's a very tight knit community. And like it just everybody knew. And I knew that I was now not going to be at all the events. I was now not going to be showing up in videos.
Mhm.
And then the questions started happening. Well, what happened to Jayna? Where did Jayna go? Because nobody ever really like officially addressed it.
Yeah.
It was hard. It took a lot. I
Yeah.
pros cons listed it, and I like just trusted my gut, and like I had to see it on paper, and I was like, all right. But it was what was needed, right?
Yeah. Right.
Because it can't that I do think there was a part of me that was coming from ego, where it's like, oh, I want to be seen on stage in front of these people. I wanted to be saying that I was working for this company. Like I wanted
Yeah.
something that it
Mhm.
wasn't giving me. And I was like, oh, this isn't what I thought I was going to be. And it's like, oh, okay, you were chasing ego, Jayna, like, duh. And so the app
Yeah.
is definitely the opposite. It was made for my girlfriends. It was made for friends that I have on the other side of the country who are struggling.
Cool.
And
Mhm.
I'm like, you're going through a divorce, and I literally can't just drive over with, with like
Yeah.
chocolates and stuff and sit with you. Like, I can't tea time with you right now. I mean, like, and I wanted to be there when they're having a panic attack and they just needed someone and I couldn't
Yeah,
pick up
yeah.
my phone. And so I created the app. I'm like, look, this is in there for you. Go listen to me heavy breathe in your ear for 4 minutes
Right.
and breathe with me.
It's such a valuable asset. I just like thought about though how in a way life repeated itself for you because you
Uh-huh.
started out by saying like I was working in restaurants, the law firm, and I wanted to work for myself. And yet life takes you again to working for somebody else's dream. Then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, and life does that, right? Like, okay, we're going to do it like kind of small over here and then we're going to like grow until we learn that specific lesson.
Yeah, it's like a
Fascinating.
test. It's
Yes.
like they're like, "Oh, we're gonna dangle this carrot right in front of you because it's like I know you want to work for yourself and you have a vision, but is security of having a paycheck really the what I went from making not much to making the most I'd ever made in my life with that company to having to walk away from that. So not only was it like the people and the connection relationships, which by far means so much more, I also was walking away from the best paying job I had ever had before. And I was like,
Yeah. That's a
so it
lot.
was it was it
Mhm.
was a lot. And
Mhm.
it was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Because, like you said, right, it was
Yes.
pushing me back to working for me. I had yet another opportunity for a test where I started to like the app wasn't taken off. I'm not making any money from the app yet. And it's been over a year that I've had the app. And it's like,
Mhm.
so it's still not making money because I had a very small minimal payment. And I was like, people just need this. And the wildfires in LA took off. And I was like, no, 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 this is a free app now. Like people need this. And so the app's not making money. So I started to question myself last year.
Mhm.
So at the
Mhm.
end of last year, I had a friend from NLP come and say, hey, I'm building a coaching company. I'd love for you to be a part of it. And so I was like, yes, 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 and yes. So I started building someone else's business again, started building the
Mm.
back end systems. I started building their, you kind of know where this is going at this point, right? So I started to develop eyelid eczema, like really,
Okay.
really bad eyelid eczema, where they almost, like my eyes almost swole shut
Yeah.
completely.
Okay.
So bad. Couldn't figure out what it was. It was like constant for about 6 weeks. And I was like, I was elimination diet, eating nothing but beef, eggs, butter, and bacon. Like I was all new skincare. I was on a probiotic for eczema, like everything. You like pill
Mhm.
potion and lotion. I was like, game, let's do it.
Mhm.
And then what it was that I actually figured it out was like taking my calendar and taking my photos. I would take a picture every time the outbreak got worse. And I correlated it to my calendar. And every meeting that I had with that person, it either flare up right before or right after. And so
Unbelievable. It's
I was like,
believable,
oh,
unbelievable. Yeah.
got it. Heard you loud and clear, universe. I need to be doing my own thing. And so that's when I said, screw this, let's just go for
Uh-huh.
it. And my partner backed me on it. And we
Wow.
just ran my first women's retreat a week and a half ago. And
Mhm.
it was literally, as I described the morning after it finished to somebody so poignantly, I went into the retreat with a full cup. So it didn't do anything but make my cup bigger.
Yeah.
And like now I
Just
have
right.
more
Right.
capacity for appreciation. Like I would never have gotten to that retreat because I would still be building someone else's business had
Mhm.
I not finally said, what is my body trying to tell me?
Yeah. Mhm.
Because so many people think pain is just pain. It is not. I'm here to tell
Mhm.
you only 1% of pain is just pain.
Mhm.
99% of pain is psychosomatic. It is your body literally trying to tell you something is wrong, something's out of alignment. And the moment I fix that, they go right back to normal. And then
Mhm.
every time now I have learned the pattern is if I get really deeply frustrated with something and like feel almost resentment, I will like start to boil up. And if I don't say it, it will
Yeah.
show up here. It's like it
Right.
boils up behind my eyeballs and like starts to come out of my skin. And so it's like now I know I just need to speak up for myself. And that's the current theme of what I'm going through. So I am worth speaking up for. And my opinion is worth saying, even if it might hurt someone else. But if they're the one that made the decision that got to this point, it's just a consequence. It's not being me being a bad or mean
Yeah.
person.
Right.
Like it's just the consequence of the action.
Yeah, and I think so much of our conditioning was around stay quiet. It's more convenient for other people if we stay quiet. And so there's so many women who are running into this, and it's sometimes more convenient to go work for somebody else. And I also think that this is this time of awakening for women to be
Yes.
like, no, there's something coming through me, and what is it that I am here? Because
Mhm.
which makes sense. Like I love it because it's so individualized in a way, but it's respect for the individual that it builds this collective that's, like you're saying, abundant and overflowing.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't mean we're not going to be working for other people or this or that, but even when we are, how do we let our life, or if we decide to work for somebody, or if that's our situation, how do we most allow our authenticity to come through?
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is the next phase I'm working on myself, is because I stopped using the words work with or work for,
Hmm.
started using the word collaborate.
Beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
like even my team collaborates with me, right?
Hmm.
They're I'm paying them, but they're
Yeah. It's
collaborating
more
with me.
right.
Correct.
Hmm.
I asked them poignantly, do you want to be called staff or team? And everyone hands down team. Because here's the difference in what I've learned is that I don't mind collaborating with other people so long as their business is built on feminine business practices.
Yeah.
Because I've started talking more and more about this. And the more that I talk about it, the more I see it, and the more people want to hear it. And it's, I think, the two most recent times where I went to build someone else's business is that they were asking me to build it from the masculine. And they
Hmm.
wanted me to constantly show up in the masculine. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm much more powerful in my feminine. Like, you don't understand, like, the freedom and the just differences. It's the difference between chasing and pulling, right? Like, it's
Hmm.
the difference between Disney, which is all about the client experience, and they just want to make sure you have the best experience, and they never ask you to come back.
Hmm.
They just know you're going to come banging on their door, handing them thousands of dollars, and you're going to want that $43 cookie, right? Like, they get it, they know, and they can put little ears on it, and you just, it's the difference between that and like a timeshare, where
Hmm.
timeshare is like hounding you and calling you and trying to get you to show up, and, oh, let's sell you before you even leave, because if you leave, we're never going to get you. That's different between desperation and
Yeah.
abundance. There's total different energy there, right? Like, I am now in a world where I finally just get to share. I just talk
Hmm.
about what I'm doing. And if you're
Hmm.
interested in it, you'll come talk to me more about it. If
Yeah.
you're not, I'm not going to chase you, because
Yeah.
I don't want to coerce or convince anyone to be in my room, because if they are, they're in the room for me, not for
Hmm.
them. Or they're in the room out of fear of letting me down, not the abundance that they get to be there, right? That's such a shift, is that it's cool to step out of your business and go collaborate with someone else. Just make sure that that person's coming from the same business practices and same principles
Yeah.
that you are.
Hmm.
It's like there's nothing wrong with having a masculine business where you call, 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 go, 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 where you sell it before you make it. That's totally fine. It's not how I want to do business, because I create things that are given to me. I channel things that are put on my heart to put in this planet. It's not well, the market wants this and they'll buy it at this rate so I can have no, I don't
Yeah.
care. You know how many things I've made that nobody has ever bought, and I just give it away because I know it helps people.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was wondering too, if you were to name the qualities of the feminine that are important to you, you just named pretty much heart centric, like heart led, non hierarchical, but what else comes to mind?
So we're more seasonal than
Hmm.
annual. And
Okay.
so like we very much will treat our businesses different in the summer than we do in the winter, like things of that nature. There's things like we plan more, at least it's better for our systems to plan more on a week to week versus a day to day basis. Like,
Mm.
the masculine energy centers can run the same pattern every single day, exactly as they love, like the same. We like variety. We like to,
Mhm.
I schedule week to week. I schedule based on my cycle. I'm like, if I know I'm in, luteal phase, or I'm like actually on the bleeding part of my phase, and I'm gonna be really light on my calendar. But if I am ovulating, you better believe I'm on sales calls. You better
Mhm.
believe I'm on podcasts. Like, because I'm gonna be energetic and I'm in the mood for it. And but I think really it's the difference between like structure
Mhm.
and strategy, right?
Mm.
Structure
Yeah.
and systems tell you this is exactly A, B, C, D. Strategy says, here's the goal we want to get there however you need to get there, right?
Yeah. I
Like,
love that.
and so
Hmm.
there's just that difference between like that free flowing nature of like trusting your intuition versus that really hard and fast, this is the way it's done. Like, it's almost like traditional versus innovation,
Yeah.
right? Like, tradition is great sometimes, and it's very old school, and it's very like, this is what to do. Innovation's like, well, what if we did it this way? How about we
Yeah.
can, And so it's very feminine, very nurturing versus like supportive. There's just different qualities, right?
Yeah, those are great. And it gives us, I feel like that gives us permission to do it the way that's coming through us, not
Yeah.
someone else's way, which is really, really important because, well, it's going to net your truth. I was going to say that's what it's
100%.
going to do.
And I hope it
Yeah.
gives permission to anyone that's listening who thinks like, I'm not, I used to have these voices. I'm not doing business right.
Yeah.
I must not be, I need to do it like that. It's like, no, no, no. It's not always the loudest voice that's the right voice. And there are a
Mm,
lot of bro marketers out there that are screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs that you need to do it their way. And I'm not saying their way doesn't work. It's just not best for all nervous systems.
mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
just believe that there are different, like, just like you wouldn't put 400 pounds on the bar for someone to deadlift on day one in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't do that. You work your way up to that.
Mm,
And
yep.
I just feel like there are different nervous systems. And I've done enough research on the difference between the masculine and feminine to understand that it's not necessarily male and female either. I need to make that clarification. It is definitely just the differences in these capacities
Mm-hmm.
because I just know I'm more 60% feminine. I know I lean more feminine, which means my practices might not make sense to somebody else because they might come from a different energy center. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Like I now don't listen to advice. Like naive beginning business me was like, okay, every advice I was writing down, like I need to do it this way. I need to do.
Me
No,
too.
no,
Yeah.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if I'm inconsistent online anymore. I used to think I have to post every single day. That's masculine. Because if I'm posting from a place of like frustration or I'm posting from a place of just like, oh, I just need to get it out there, the energy is going to translate in the video and you will not make progress.
Yeah.
You could post twice a week and get better results if every time you're posting, you're excited and you're having fun and you're like, oh my God, girlfriends, I got to tell you about something. That's going to do better
Right.
than
Right.
I'm posting because I have to, because my coach told me to be consistent. Like,
And that's like while metrics can be informational and valuable, they're not everything. And working from that genuine place where, I'm here to support you and these are the ways that I do it. Come to me and then not again needing and you're going to attract exactly who's meant to magnetize to you with that energy. I
yeah.
love it.
It's
Yeah.
like the simplest thing is if you catch yourself saying, I think, I think, I think, you are living in your head, you're living your masculine.
And
But if you
then,
start hearing
yeah.
yourself say, I know or
Uh-huh.
I feel,
Or I feel.
you're
Yes.
like, okay, cool. I'm in my
Yes.
feminine,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes I make decisions in business and someone will be like, well, why did you choose that? I'm like, I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I don't know. It's like I don't know how to put it in words. What I know is that I know this is the right thing. And
Yes.
it's not because there's not a statistic or whatever. It's just I'm in my feminine and I'm trusting
Mm-hmm.
the intuitive hit where my gut's like, no, this is what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay trusting that these days. I used to not be because I used to have to feel like I needed to be able to answer that question. I needed to know why. I don't need to
Yeah.
know why. I don't. If I need to know why, then I'm going to be stuck in a corner for the rest of my business life because
Yes. And I think that I mean, I'm not saying this is you, but I just have been a person that knows when I hear my truth or like what resonates. And then I kind of follow that thread. And some people always need to be citing the science or that this is why to prove, prove, prove. And there's a lot of that going on too, which is beautiful now. But I think it's like side by side, hand in hand, parallel tracks to those people. Like we're all doing it our ways. I think the old Maureen used to think like, I need the statistic, I need the reason why, I need the, and now I'm like, no, I don't. And if so, I just don't. It's just not who I am. And that's my more feminine side. So to
yeah.
me, what do you think the invitation is for anybody listening? Like one invitation I just thought is if you're intrigued by what does it feel like to come from the feminine? What is that experience like? Maybe just would you say practice? Pick like something in your life where you're just like, I want to listen to that feminine side, my intuitive side. What comes to you?
Yeah, I think the great way to sum it up without it being masculine, feminine, which is a great thing, is ask yourself the question. If you're looking at a specific behavior anywhere in life, doesn't matter what it is, ask yourself the question, is this coming from love or is this coming from fear? Because
Okay.
if it's coming from love, it's coming from the side of abundance. It's coming
Yeah.
from the side of your feminine, the trust side of the equation. If it's coming from fear, there's nothing wrong with fear. Fear gets us to move out of the way of cars. Fear helps us save a child's life. Like, fear is a good thing. And when we come from fear, it is coming from the masculine side of the fence, the scarcity side of the fence, the pre-planning. Well, let's get ahead of the game, like masculine. So just stop and pause and say, is this coming from love or is this coming from fear?
Yeah.
Whether it's a business decision, whether it's a family decision, whatever it is in that life. Because if you can do that, that will help you figure out what side of the fence you're on.
Yeah.
And it'll help you like just kind of figure that out as well, because it's my assumption is that old Maureen probably didn't have as much self-trust as new Maureen does.
Yeah.
Because that's what I find a lot of women who are stuck in the masculine, working their way to find, like, you know, they're stepping into that feminine soft era.
Yeah.
It's trust. That's what you have
Yes.
to build to be able to get there, is trust. Trust in yourself, not trust in others, trust in yourself.
And that word enoughness is coming to me, that it's like, I am enough. I am, your tattoo, I am worthy.
Yeah.
I'm worthy of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Affirmations. Some people love them. Some people hate them. Some people just yelling at a mirror and saying affirmations like, I feel like an idiot. And other people like me do it for a decade and then later on figure out, oh, wow, I really am these things. So it happens. You might feel like an idiot up front, and it's okay. Because when you update your affirmations, you feel like an idiot all over again.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they eventually will insidiously get themselves in your brain, and they will remind you that you are enough. And so definitely surround yourself with people, places, and things that remind you that you are enough, because you are. And if you don't surround yourself with that, you will inevitably surround yourself with things that are going to project that you are not. And whichever one you choose to believe is true.
Yes.
So
yes.
I can
Absolutely.
tell you that as much as you want. Maureen can tell you that as much as you want, but you're not going to believe it until you choose it. So choose to be enough.
Absolutely. Yes. I appreciate every story you've shared today, your candidness about what you've experienced in your life, and just everything, Jayna. That was just great what you shared. And then just in the stillness of the moment, is there any kind of additional parting message that you'd like to leave with the audience? Anything that wants to come through?
Yes. The one thing that one of my doctors said to me that changed my life forever, I will gift you this, is if you don't get the root of the problem, the symptoms will persist. So if you're finding that you have symptoms of the same issues over and over, it means you haven't gotten the root yet. So find the root of the problem.
Yeah. Great. I love it. Well, thank you for being here. I'm so happy to introduce you to the audience, and can't wait to hear what kind of comes in your life next.
Yes, I was so grateful to have been able to be on the show with you today. This is an awesome conversation, and I look forward to hearing what comes out of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Jayna. And thanks to the listeners. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mystical Sisterhood. To learn more about my one-on-one coaching programs or join the Mystical Sisterhood membership, visit maureenspielman.com or mysticalsisterhood.com. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.